Growing up, I listened to a lot of musicians, and one of the musicians that was around at the time was a man named Barry White. And I could not understand why in the world were grown people falling over this man who's talking through his songs. White had one of those voices. But now, today, I understand because I have Naheem Garcia.
That's what you were leading into, sliding that one in
Yeah,
there.
the
Yeah.
voice. Say hello. Oh my
Hello, hello,
goodness.
everybody. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Peace. Thank you.
Let me
Hello,
hear this
hello.
voice. Listen, this is Anne Marie, host of About This Life. About This Life is about just us as people taking a look at those limiting beliefs, those mindsets changes we need to let go of. And we do that so we could add more life to our days. That's the whole goal. So today, my guest is Naheem Garcia. And I am so pleased to have you on the show. Naheem is an actor's actor, stage, theater, TV. I love it. I love it. I love it. You've been in Holdovers, Sleepover. You met my
Hold
Denzel. Did
over,
you
sleep over, take over.
Dover? Oh, and the Purge, the Money Game, just some of the highlights. But when you worked in Equalizer too, did you meet Denzel?
Yeah, I acted across from him. I spent some time with him. The two leads, and we had a nice conversation. And I do have to say, what you see is what you get. We talked about life. We talked about men. We talked about God, faith, and he was 100 all the way. We talked about relationships. It was a nice
Hmm.
conversation. He
I
had
love
made
it.
he had made a statement when at the August Wilson monologue competition that was happening years ago, and when he appeared on it at the end. It was the year that my student, I caught the flu, I couldn't go, but one of our students from Massachusetts, it's the year we won. And Denzel was speaking, and he was talking, and he was standing next to another one of my good young men who is a mentee who's now running for getting his doctorate. Um, they were standing next, and he talked about make sure you get on your knees, make sure your shoes are way under the bed so you can be on your knees so you can dig way under before you get up and have your day, so you can have a moment with with the Lord or with your faith, whatever that meant. But
Amen.
he's a man of faith, um, and it was a big topic, but he's also about his business. And again,
Yes,
after that
he
was done,
is.
it was done. But it was a
Yes.
pleasure. It was a pleasure to have a real person and this icon not full of itself, but he was a man still digging and still trying to find himself. So we had a real good conversation. It was a very, very touching moment, beautiful experience for me with the on set with everyone. It was, you know,
A
one minute you're
beautiful
watching this man, yeah, one minute you're watching him on TV, the next minute he's right here in your face, and you have to deliver. And and one thing about these guys, they're not there to give you advice. Oh, you was doing good and coach you. They're like, you bring it, I come with it, and that's how it was.
Yes, you bring it and come with it. And I have to say, I'm getting closer and closer because so many of the people in my circle have met Denzel. We go back to St. Elsewhere.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
loved him when he first came out in tracking. But there's something that you mentioned, Naheem Garcia, something that is very special about you, and that is your work with young people. Okay, so break that down for us because you mentioned the August Wilson competition just so casually, like that's a walk in the park. Oh my goodness.
I'm the resident teaching artist for the Huntington Theater Company Education Department, and we facilitate two programs. One of them is called the Poetry Out Loud. There was a time that we were facilitating the August Wilson monologue competition. The latest one, and the one that we've been also working with for some time now, is called Next Narrative Monologue Competition. And our young people are getting ready to go into an intensive for about 4 weeks and then prepare whoever wins at the state level. represents Massachusetts and will meet everybody else in New York City at the Apollo. At least that's where they had it for a while. Now it's in um, the hotel next to it's called the Renaissance. It's the Renaissance
Okay.
Apollo Theater. So they're black box. So that's where they're going to be performing. But it's a beautiful thing to work with these young people and teach them about the work
Okay.
and
Let me pause and jump in here for a moment because you know it like the back of your hand, but we need some clarity. We need some experience with it.
okay.
So when you say next level in terms of the monologues, we're not talking about Jack and Jill went up the hill. No,
We're
we're
talking
talking
writings
about
black and brown and playwrights and queer playwrights who have written monologues since a little bit after COVID. They wrote these monologues that were speaking to these young people and what's going on today on all levels, on all
on
levels.
all
Uh,
levels, and
yeah,
I had
and
the
the
privilege.
beautiful part about it is that they're black and brown playwrights writing about and for our people. So our young people embrace these monologues. They're not necessarily color or gender focused. They're on everything that's happening today, from gender issues, God, faith, suicide, whatever the deal is. So these monologues speak a little more to what's going on with the variety of young people. You know, when you're dealing with August Wilson, you're dealing with August Wilson, you're dealing with some historical issues. You're dealing with
Absolutely.
historical black issues, that all people can relate, but it's a little more difficult because when you're white and you're doing some August Wilson work, it does speak to you, but it doesn't speak to you the same way it speaks to you as a young black or brown person.
It
Now
doesn't
we have these
resonate.
monologues
Mm-hmm.
that are written
Mm-hmm.
by people that look like them and sound like them, but they're talking about some real contemporary issues. They're talking about their faith. They're talking about their gender issue. They're talking about their sexuality. They're talking about what it is to grow up in America. They're talking about what it is to grow up being black and brown. They're talking about what it is to be black and brown, maybe queer, black and brown, or not even black and brown, just to be a young person growing up in America today.
Mm-hmm.
So to get them to understand the work, strip the work, that the work is not something you're reciting, it's something you're portraying. So, how do you peel these layers back? As a young person, how do you relate to some of these issues that you don't know how to articulate yet? How do you find yourself in these words? How do you find yourself in these words? How do these words translate to someone else and touch them? How do they see your reality, your realness about it? I don't want you coming in and just reciting words. I want you to walk it, because once you
Yes.
start to learn and digest these words and memorize them, they now become yours. It's now your interpretation, your interpretation of how this work is manifested. So it's a beautiful way to teach literature. It's a beautiful way to teach understanding, because I struggled as a young man academically. I did
You
go to
know,
special.
before we get into, your upbringing and how you struggled, I just want to punctuate what it is that you're saying, because it's not a recitation. It is young people who are embodying the drama and the intensity of the language
Character.
and the issues the characters going through. I had the privilege of, witness. You do not want to be a judge, and I got
No,
to
it's a tough
listen
assignment. I mean, you have the best of the best sitting up there observing
across
these young
and across
people,
the states they're
and
coming
I feel
from.
bad for them. I say I know these judges are some of the best in the world, but ooh, having to
Woo!
make a choice on these, because these young people really bring it. When you get to nationals, it's the Olympics of monologues, the Olympics of young actors, and you're performing on a very high level on a major stage. You're on a major stage in New York City, and you're being seen by the world. And you're being observed by some of the best and judged by some of the best, and you're competing with some of the best in the country. And it's a beautiful thing to know that you
Yes,
had a hand in contributing
yes,
to their success and their development. Because you go back with some children and you come back with some young men and women. the
absolutely, absolutely. And
whole experience,
they,
Trent. Yeah.
yeah, they are performing at the Apollo Theater, world-renowned Apollo Theater, which is affiliated with the hotel next to it. But also, they had the opportunity to see a live Broadway play. I believe
Several.
last year there was a play by Felicia Rashad.
Felicia Rashad may have
What was
directed it.
that?
Yep. I can't
Yes.
remember. I can't
Yes.
remember, but yeah, they got a chance to go. So they got a chance to go. They get to go to a couple of Broadway shows. They get to meet with Kenny Leon, the founder of True Colors, uh, True Colors Theater out of Atlanta. But he is a Broadway director, an Tony Award winning Broadway, Oscar award winning director. But he's doing a lot of work on Broadway, and in a lot of ways, him and a few others are the Black Broadway.
Yes.
And then they get a chance to sit there. I mean, they met with Felicia Rashad. They met with Jamil Jude, the artistic director for True Colors now. I mean, they're sitting down, they're having conversation with superstars. When you go to this competition, anybody and everybody can be sitting in the audience. There was a time where Denzel Washington's wife and Samuel Jackson's wife adjudicating.
Yes.
You're sitting
Yes.
over here. You have stars that just, it's a Monday, so all the actors that were on Broadway come out to support. You just saw television. You saw three of these people. You can see anybody from Roots to CSI, from 9/11, the latest movies. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful experience. And some of these young people have never even been out of the state.
Change their
Furthermore,
lives,
a
I'm sure.
hotel. Furthermore, a
Yes.
nice hotel, not a shelter. They never been out of the state. They've never been anywhere other than where they live. Now they're traveling. They're staying at a
Now they're
beautiful hotel.
traveling
They're
and
connecting. They're
they're
connecting with other
connecting.
young people. Yeah. And they're creating friendships and bonds that some of them last forever. Some of them are still friends to this day. I mean, we're talking 16 years now. Some people have really kept relationships. So it's a good thing. It's a beautiful thing to be a part of it.
Yes. And the program again is called Next Level
Next,
Competition.
next narrative monologue competition.
Next narrative monologue competition.
Mhm.
Thank you for correcting me. I
Yes.
appreciate that.
Yeah, I
Next
don't want to say it wrong. They
narrative.
say he's been around for 16 years. He's still saying it wrong. It's a deal.
We gotta catch that. We gotta change.
It is what it is. I mean, everything's real. I'm
Next
glad I can remember
narrative.
my name sometimes, please.
And I wanted to say, in terms of your upbringing, because you got involved with this, and I'm thinking to myself, what drove you to get involved in it? What was Naheem like when he was growing up?
Naeem was full of a lot of fire and passion and art. I found my voice in theater. Even in school, when I cut everything, I wouldn't cut theater class. But I got it. But I got it honestly. My mother was a dancer, a gymnast, and a dancer. She danced for the International Folklore Dance Company of Cuba. She was part of the Olympic team. My grandmother was a singer who sang at the Copacabana. So my grandfather was a very well known tapper. My father, his brothers were a very well known singing group in Cuba. So I come from a very big artistic family in Cuba, but in order to make it, you had to get out of Cuba. And so when my
Yes.
mother got here, those that I've heard stories, uncles that I have connections, but you got to take me with you and all that, and it's real, and because you want to get out of Cuba, and you only have 3 visas. Somebody got to stay behind, right? And my mother
Yes.
wasn't leaving me, and when we got here, no matter whatever happened, my grandmother taught theater for Boston Public School. She was a theater arts teacher, and she did a lot of theater in the church we came up. And I
Mm-hmm.
had an knack for it, but somewhere along the line, when I got around middle school and high school, I fell in love with, because I was struggling academically, and I was
Mm-hmm.
7'6", and
Mm-hmm.
until somebody said, no, he's a visual learner. It's what he sees. He sees it. He
Mm-hmm.
can't comprehend it like the rest. He needs to see it in his mind. And once I got a hold of that, and I got a hold of theater class, and I met, and I was dancing with a great group called the Unique Dominoes. And my friend White Jackson connected me with a wonderful woman named Elaine Corey. And that was a part of Boston Youth Theater. And from Boston Youth Theater, I met Lois Roach and Mr. McGee
And wait, and so theater
Black Folks
changed
Theater, and
it
yeah,
changed your life.
yeah, Jim Sproul, Linda Patton
But what
Sproul,
is
and
it about theater though? Because why not dance or
I did
music
it
or
all.
any of the arts? You did it all.
I started off as a
Shut the
choreographer.
front door. Okay.
I started off. My mother was a dancer, so it was in me. I was a break dancer. I was a dancer. Then I got involved with jazz and ballet, and I loved it. And I got involved with choreography because I liked the visual. I could see it happening
Mm-hmm.
on stage. And then the theater, the actual idea of being able to take somebody's words and take somebody's character and bring it to life and have that moment where you can really
Right.
move the air, really
Yes.
find a moment where you're connected, where you have taken somebody, not just yourself, but somebody on a journey in this story, that you've given this story some color, some life, some blood, a moment. So theater was attractive. Film was great. Film was a little easier.
How
um,
so? How so?
well, with film was, you don't have a live audience. If you make a mistake, cut and we can repeat it again. Live audience, you make a mistake and the
Mistake.
audience, no, yeah, yeah,
No.
right. And it's a tough one. It's tough, when you go blank and you got an audience in front of you. That's a tough feeling. But also what I had to learn about film is that it's not so much that it's there. You got to connect into that camera. That camera becomes that audience. That camera is
Mm-hmm.
your place. When you go into that camera, you're not just looking at it and you're here. You're in it. You're involved with
Yes.
it. Your attention's into it. Even when they don't want you looking into it, your intention is to be in it and not be a part of it. You got to be in it. You got to let it
Yes.
absorb you.
Yes.
And the thing about a camera is most people are afraid to look into the lens, but the lens
Uh-huh.
is your new person. The lens is that, and told me that Devon Joy Randolph from the Holdovers, the young lady when
Mm-hmm.
she got the Oscars, and we talked about that because she was nominated for a Tony for Ghost. So we talked about the difference from an audience and the camera, and she said,
Mm-hmm.
"No, no, that camera is is that audience, and you play into that camera whether you look at it or not. That camera is the focus, and most people feel it awkward. Like it took me a long time.
To
I needed
adjust
live
to the
people
different,
to
to
the
adjust.
especially to a camera. It felt weird. It's like and then you think it's just but cameras, and then as a theater actor, I'm overacting, right? When in
Mm-hmm.
camera it's less. So the difference between the stage is big and camera is small. It's less. You don't you don't every movement is picked up by that camera. Every slight thing is picked up by that camera. So you
Yeah.
try to keep it very neutral. So instead of going to be or not to be, right? It's like to be or not to be. And there's the
Mm.
right? It sinks in more. It has further depth because now it's constant. It's going inside. It's going into the lens, not being out exterior part of it. Like the lens just catching you. No, you're in it and you're a part of it. Now you become, and it's a lot of work on the eyes. The eyes tell a
Yes,
lot
it
of
is.
story. I'm going to be working on teaching acting for camera. So there's a whole lesson plan that needs to happen about the eyes and how the eyes tell the story and etc. But yeah,
They
that's
do. They do. And I've seen the trailer on your latest movie. Tell us about the latest movie that you have coming out.
Thickly Settled is a beautiful sort of sci-fi romance where there's about two men who are going through two different dynamics. One is going through a terrible relationship after 15 years, it's not working. The other one lost his wife 20 years ago in an explosion. He's a scientist. I play this character Harold, who is a astrophysicist, but
Okay.
he lost his wife 20 years ago to an explosion, and and he drank himself and smoked himself, and he looked like a crazy bum, and everybody thinking he's crazy, but he actually built a time machine and he only had
Mm.
one shot. And the other character and he became friends. He took him to his house and fell asleep in a drunk and fell out. And the gentleman went and tested the machine and it actually worked. And it went back
Oh
in
my
time.
goodness.
And he went back in time and he went and by the time he got to the third time of doing it that night, or the second time he got to do it that night, I wake up and I find him going into the machine. He says, "I'm sorry. Now I've worked 20 years on this machine while everybody thought I was crazy and insane. I actually built this machine so I could go back in time and save my wife. But here's the deal: when you go back in,
You can't give away the ending.
uh, but I'm not giving away the ending. Here's the deal: but
Okay.
when you go back away in time,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't necessarily mean that things will go back to themselves. And
Yes.
sometimes when you change something, you might come back and you might be somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
You
As a
know,
person, as a human
as
being.
as a theory. I mean, no, I don't know anybody has gone back in time, but as a theory, that, when you go back, you can change it. There's a movie out now called 11 23 63 or 20, 11 20. It's on Netflix. It's about the man going back in time to stop the gentleman from killing President Kennedy. But
Yeah.
when he did that and they changed it and they thought they were saving Kennedy, the future changed drastically.
Yes, yes. All of those consequences on our timeline. How do you prepare, Naheem, for such a physically demanding or an emotionally demanding role? How do you give that much of yourself?
Um, One role I'll talk about is when I played Elmore in King Henry II, August Wilson's King Henry II.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there was no other way to do that character but to throw all of you in it. And sometimes it's a little hard when you
Yeah.
throw too much of yourself in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's too much. But it's part of finding the layers, putting yourself in that and going back to, if there's no history, you got to create a history based on the text, based on whatever's said or however the character describes his past or his future. Um, I got everything happening, and my computer wants to restart and and do
Yeah,
all that nonsense.
and that
Not
is
now,
fine because I'm leaning over because mine wasn't plugged in, and you know.
but this is the beauty of live. So one of the things that I do is first of all, I definitely study the character, think about the character, think about what the character has gone through, think about who the character is, who their parents could have been, what kind of life they could have had. This is all based if the characters describe themselves. My daddy was mean, so that means you went through some sort of abuse situation. If they said, I lived poor, so that means times were hard. So you became a thief, or no, I went to the army. Okay, so the military helped you figure out how to get. When I left the army, I had 38 cents and a gun and all that. Okay, so that brought you into a life of gambling or whatever you went to. Okay, so we know he got certain ways about himself. He got certain
Right.
habits that about
So
himself.
knowing the
So
story.
knowing his story and then understanding the journey he went through and how does it fit to you, how do you relate to that part, and you have to give up a piece of yourself every time you do a very deep part. You give up a part of yourself and you gain another part of somebody else, a character that you don't know, because there's language and there's messages in the character's words that are going to connect, that are going to open your mind, that are going to make trigger something and make you think about something in your past, your childhood, your youth, past situation, whatever. But it's always something that's going to trigger something in there, and it's also part of making it physical. Some people think it's not just memorizing; it's digesting it, putting it in your body. How did this character walk? Did his left foot lean a little more? Did the bunion hurt sometimes when it pressed up against when he slid his right foot down on the sidewalk? Or, whatever it was. Did he hunch himself? Did he speak with a scratchy voice? I mean, you got to really build this character. You got to really think about how this character is, and once you have that in place,
Right.
the lines fall in place. Now because this is how this character would talk.
So that's how you build your character.
Layer
Matthew
by layer.
McConaughey. Yeah, Matthew McConaughey called your man. He says finding his man,
You got to
meaning
find your
finding his
man. You got to
character,
peel
find your
your yeah.
man.
You got to
But
peel your onion.
yeah, you describe it perfectly. Here's my question.
Mhm.
Naheem, person, when you are giving and pouring into this character, how do you bring it back so you're Naheem again? So that you're that soft person to your life partner. How do you bring it back again? You've been this person, this character all day long, or however many weeks and months you've been in that person's shoes. Come back to yourself?
I think, and I might be paraphrasing something that someone said, Denzel said. He said, make sure when you get in the character, getting in character is not the hard part, it's getting out of it. And
Yes.
that process, it's different every time. It's different
Mm-hmm.
every time. Sometimes you learn to put them in a closet, put them in file. Sometimes you learn to pacify them so they can stay quiet. Sometimes they just become a part of you, and that's where it gets a
Yeah.
little dangerous. But there's a lot of meditating, defunking.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
what I haven't done another play since Elmore because that was a lot, and it was
Yeah.
a lot because I gave a lot of myself. It was a lot because I had moments of blanking and moments of, where your mind that can't remember. And, that's one of the reasons I didn't do theater for a long time. I mean, took 24 years to get me back on stage, and that was that play. And after that play, I haven't, I'll direct,
Yeah.
I'll work, I'll teach, I'll coach, I'll do other things, but I won't touch the stage for a minute until this guy's out of my system. And sometimes he's not. Every now and then I'll say, money ain't nothing, man, but $1.67 one. You know, you
Yeah.
know. Every now and then I'll say, all right now, I was at the
All right
bar.
now.
I'm doing all the
And,
character every now
and let
because
it
there was
go.
you
And then
want
go back to hip hop.
let me go hear something. Let me go hear some jazz. Let me go write. Let me
Uh-huh.
go teach. Let me go cook. Let me
And
let me let me let me go clean things that I like to do. Let me do something else because right now, if I go on stage, I've seen actors play characters that they create, and then they go right into another movie, bring or another performance, and still have that character in them. And now,
mm-hmm.
like Jeff Bridges, once he did that cowboy movie, he got an Oscar for Grid. Once he did
Yes.
Grid, that character stayed with him no matter what he played in what movie. You see, it's the same way he talked. He's never talked like that. If you go back before Grid, you notice how he spoke, and after Grid, how he spoke. After Grid, he
Yes.
spoke with that kind of the same way
True
that
grit.
character. Yeah, yeah, True Grid. Like when you hear him talk, he talks the same way that character did. He couldn't get out of it. The man that did Gangs of New York, he had to go to therapy to get out of
Mm-hmm.
character. And I mean, and rightly so. The man was not, I think, got the Oscar. That's how convincing he was. But that's the scary part about it. You got to know how to throw yourself in, and you got to know how to leave it at the door. And it took years. And sometimes, you don't always have. Sometimes you really isolate yourself because you can't shake this other character that's in your head. You got mixed
Understood.
feelings. Yeah.
Understood. I've got to ask you about the movie Sinners. First off, Michael B. Jordan, love him, and Ryan Coogler, like anything Ryan Coogler directs, he's getting my money, okay? Because I'm gonna go see his film a couple of times. One of his actors, Delroy Lindo.
The man, the master,
Yes,
the
yes,
elder. And I think
the
he played
elder.
his best parts ever. I think it was I
Exactly.
don't know why he wasn't nominated, but I think he played one of the best.
Best parts ever. And
Yeah, I mean
here's
he's
the
done a lot, but
thing.
I loved him. I loved him. I believed every last inch of him. Every last inch of him. But that's the kind of actor he is. You're always gonna believe him, which is probably why he's a lead actor, you know.
Yes, but here's the thing that I've heard him say on interviews, and then I have a question for you. He said that there was a scene from the movie where they're riding in the car and they pass by the chain gang on the road, and he's educating the young man in terms of the importance of the musicality and the stories about why they're on the chain gang. And he said he had to speak to Ryan Coogler and told him to let me keep that scene in because it was on the cutting floor. And he spoke to his director and said, you need to listen to me. This scene needs to stay in. How are you with your relationships with the directors in your craft? Are you able, as an actor, to give input and say this scene could work better or
It depends.
wholesome?
It depends on the level. What level? Like I wasn't going to do that in no Denzel's movie. I was lucky to be. I mean, I was lucky to be in it. Same thing with the holdovers. I had. I was able. The director was willing to listen to a few things or open minded, but for the most part, I'm not.
Yeah.
Not when you're a Paul or you're Divine or when you're at that level. Yeah, you have a relationship because this movie's based on you. You're
Mm-hmm.
casted as the
Mm-hmm.
lead because there's something you bring it, so they're gonna work around you or work with you. And some actors, I mean, There's some
Mhm.
actors that have the studio give them a lot of authority to edit their movie, and there's been beef between director and the studio and the lead actor
Yeah.
because of that. I'm not at that level. I'm at a level. I mean, I'm at a level now where I could say, "Can I see that?" Or I don't know how I felt. Can we do one more time? You know, I could get away with that, but for the most part,
Yeah. Well,
you're
thank you
just
for your
lucky. You're just lucky. You're lucky you're on the movie. Don't say too much, you know.
uh-huh.
And if there is an opportunity, then make sure you're on point with it. Make sure you say something that's really on point. And it's all about how you develop the relationship with the director. And if you trust your director, there's not going to be too many questions. Just like the reason why they always say, "Hey, this scene is important," because historically,
Yes.
we can't forget what was happening. Just because these guys was had playing moonshine and gambling and running around didn't mean that we still didn't have some sort of slavery. You know, the chain gang was humiliating. It wasn't just
Mm-hmm.
so those guys could suffer. It's also so everybody else could see if you don't straighten out, this is where you're going to end up. This is how it's going to look. You know, and we will pull you back in chain. You know, so
Yes.
subliminally, the chain was in their brain. So no matter what, they were still
Mm-hmm.
suppressed and oppressed.
Yeah. That part. That
That
part.
part. So yeah.
Listen, one of the ways that I know you, that I first met you, is we are on a show together called Motivational Sundays and so shout out to Kevin
And
McLemore
friends and the whole
and
motivational team.
friends. Yes. And that is how we became acquainted and seeing one another on the show. And by the way, I would love for our audience to tune into that show, Motivational Sundays with Kevin and Friends, where we just take a quote and you have all these various aspects and responses to it. So I'm going to do a takeoff from that. I'm not going to give you the quote.
Okay,
I'm
you're gonna
going
give
to
me a little
read a
something.
poem. I'm going to
Okay,
give you a little challenge. I'm going to give you part of the poem.
okay,
And that is because I heard you mention poetry out loud
okay.
earlier. And see, I'm listening. So I'm reading it from my phone, and my phone, of course, is this tiny letters. Okay. So the poem is called "You Don't Even Know Me" by
Mm,
Sharon Flake.
hmm
I sit in your class, I play by the rules. I'm young, I'm fly, I'm black. So of course I think I'm cool. Geometry is my thing. Physics is just a breeze. So it bothered me last week when you said I should be happy with that C. You know, I've
mm,
been wondering lately, trying to figure out just how it could be that you're around me so often that then I'm out with my boys, but you don't seem to know me. So how does that speak to you? He's talking the character in this
No,
poem.
one more time, because you know I got the ADHD.
I
I need it one more time.
I got you, and I only did a clip of the part of the
That's all.
poem,
Just
not
give me
all of
what
it.
you just said again one more time, so I could just sit with it.
I sit in your class. I play by the rules. I'm young. I'm fly. I'm black.
Hmm
So of course I think I'm cool. Geometry is my thing. Physics is just a breeze. So it bothered me last week when you said I should be happy with that C. You know, I've been wondering lately, trying to figure out just how it could be that you're around me so often, but you don't even know me.
Mm.
Talking about
August.
his teacher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I already know his teacher must look different than him. And I
Mm-hmm.
think about it made me think about August Wilson. When August Wilson, while he left school, he wrote a paper and the teacher accused him of plagiarizing.
Mm-hmm.
He was very well known for writing other people's work. He was brilliant. He had, he had a very good memory, a
Mm-hmm.
photographic memory, but at the end of the day, he wrote this paper and he was accused of not being able or having the ability to write such a paper. I remember one time
Mm,
somebody, I was working somewhere and somebody said, that letter was beautiful. Did you write it? Like shocked that I could write a beautiful letter. Um, just because I actually took my time, wanted to make sure I could write a
right.
beautiful letter. And the thing about it is what falls on me when I hear about this young man in this poem is that, you know, you don't see me, you don't think I'm capable of doing anything, and you don't give me the credit, nor do you want to credit me to confirm that I am that brilliant, that you do see me. It's
Mm-hmm.
right up there with it's right up there when we think of Langston Hughes, I too am America. I am the
Yes.
darker brother. And when company comes over, they send me to the kitchen to eat.
I'll
And
be
I
sitting
go
at
and
a
I
table.
laugh and I eat and I go strong. Next time when they come over, I will not go into the kitchen. And they will not dare send me to the kitchen. This is what he's saying. It's like we have to work harder and harder to prove ourselves all the time. And sometimes the people with authority that don't want us in a certain place or don't want to give us the credit or confirmation that we are who we are, or at least sometimes people see you a certain way and it's how they see you. And because they see you and perceive you that way, they
Mm-hmm.
believe that's who you are without really taking the time to know you. I had a friend of mine that said all this stuff, and they had it in his head that I was some sort of playboy all my life, and I really never was. I've been married most of my life. No matter what, I
Yes.
was always in something solid. I didn't have two or three or four, but that was his perception of me, and because of that, he built a whole nother world about me, and he really never spent any time with me.
Mm-hmm.
And this teacher who is not spending any time with this brilliant young man because he says he knows his work. And he said you should be happy with the seed. But why didn't he encourage him to say, don't be happy
Right.
with that. Don't settle. And
Don't
and the,
settle for
don't
that.
settle.
Yeah.
And the idea that this teacher was teaching him to settle was that you don't see me because if you did see me, you would want to enhance that brilliance. But what you see, you don't like, and what you see, you want to keep back, or you perceive that you can't, that we're not. So it's like for years they didn't think we could fly a plane. For years
Yes.
they didn't think we could be quarterbacks. For years. This went on till about 20, 30 years ago. Let's talk about it. When did they start really supporting black pilots? When did they start really giving
Mm-hmm.
black quarterbacks the ball? When did that really start happening? Not too long ago. Within my
So the
lifetime, I
message,
saw it. Huh?
yeah. So the message then, because the title of the poem is You Don't See Me. And I think that's just such a powerful title, and the poem continues. So I hope our listeners and our audience will go out and do that. Is that you are living in a world where people don't see you or they misperceive who you are. So when we
When people
come
want to put you in a
to
box.
people put you in a box, and there's a box of their perception and their illusion, and it's not even real.
Mm-mm.
So you mentioned the eyes and tuning in. Here's how I want to put you on the spot.
Oh boy.
I'm putting you on the spot as we close out. I would love for you to talk to the young people. You can even, your man, in terms of when we say your man, and we're talking about the character you're creating, it could be your younger self. You talking to your younger self, or you talking to some of the young people that you've mentored, that you've coached, that you've taught. What do you want them to know coming through a time such as this?
Always be prepared to be tested. Always be
Mhm.
prepared to be challenged. Learn and accept what failure is and know that it does not mean your end. It just means more of your beginning. Know that no one really is going to care for you more than you care for yourself. Thinking of yourself does not mean that you isolate others, it just means that you put yourself in a position that you can help somebody else. And you can't do that unless you take care of yourself first.
Mm.
Be kind to yourself, be kind to your neighbor, be a good citizen, do the right thing because it's just the right thing to do, not because you don't get a reward for it. And don't be afraid of love. Love conquers all, but love could also make you a dummy. So be smart. Pay attention. Know what you love and why. Because they say love takes a great degree of understanding. It's what's produced by what you know and how you act on it. Sometimes don't let your take the emotion out of it. As my partner always told me, take the emotion out of it. Look at it for what it really is. Don't make it personal all the time. It's not always personal, even though it's coming from a person. It's not always personal. And more than that, love your heritage. Don't be afraid to
Yes.
age. Don't be afraid to age. Take care of your old. Check in on your grandparents. Listen to everything they have to tell you, whether it's your grandparents or anybody old. So that means when you have that older teacher in there, that you can always go back and blow up and yell and scream and do all this nonsense and walk out the room because you don't feel like studying, but you can always come back to remember that that's not always going to be there for you. And when that teacher and you in that moment pass, you're left with what you have done, the efforts that you put in to progress your life. And when you look at your hands and they look
Yes.
a little empty, know that you were the cause of that. But it's not the end of that. You have the ability to do something about it.
Yes.
Don't just sit back thinking that you don't have
Mm-hmm.
anything to do. You have the ability to do something about it. And if it wasn't for wrong, you wouldn't know what right is. So don't be afraid to be wrong sometimes, but
Mm-hmm.
be and don't be afraid to be right when you need to be right. Don't be right because you say so. Have facts, have proof, have a
Mm-hmm.
base. Don't just speak from the
Mm-hmm.
side of your neck. And most of all, have some self respect and some respect for your fellow human being. Put yourself in somebody's shoes before you start thinking and judging. We're real quick to judge. Sometimes you got to know when we're judging it's because we want to talk about somebody else so we don't have to judge ourselves. You better, and don't be so hard on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Let me correct that. Be hard on yourself. Don't be difficult to yourself. Don't make things,
Mm.
all right? Don't make things so difficult for yourself. Give yourself a break. Give yourself a chance and acknowledge the things that you do very well and that you work very hard to do and improve on them. Always try to be a better human being. Do everything you can to be a better human being. And don't be afraid to extend your hand. Doesn't mean you got to extend it to everybody. Extend it to those who are worthy and are ready to receive whatever love and hand you're going to give them. Don't always give to somebody that's not going to appreciate you because you want to win their love over. That's the dumbest thing we do. We all fall in love and find ourselves in that problem. And fall in love don't mean romance. Fall in love with your friend. Fall in love with the idea. Fall in love with a new gimmick. Fall in love with a new habit. We fall. Don't fall into nothing. Walk into it. If you can't walk into it, keep it moving. Keep it moving. And with last thing I want to leave you with, outside of loving yourself, you better love the one thing inside of you, and that's the true and living supreme architect of the universe.
Yes. Yes.
Know that the grand design, that you are part of it. And if you have a part in it, you are part of that origin. And if that origin, you know that you need to keep yourself pure and clean as best possible. And I don't just mean by eating like a vegetarian, I mean really trying to be a decent human being. That's the purity. If you try to do the right thing because the right thing to do, that's the purity. That's where the good is. There's good. There's victory in the effort, and there's
Yes.
victory in the struggle. As long as you keep doing that, and I don't mean struggle hard, be smart about it. Find ways to make it easy. Don't look for no shortcuts. There's none. The shortest cut is going from A to Z. Keep it in line and follow the order. And you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right. And make sure you teach some young person. Look out for them. Don't be afraid to tell somebody when they're not right. Don't be afraid to tell your friend when they're not being right. And don't be afraid to receive
Mm-hmm.
it when somebody tell you you ain't being right. Learn to
Mm.
take it. Learn to take it.
Mm.
And also learn to know when you got control and when you got to give it up to the supreme architect. As they say in the
Mm.
good old word, sometimes you gotta let go and let God.
Yes.
So in all good time, but know that you have to make an effort. Don't sit up home, wait for some mystery
Mm-hmm.
God to bring you food. You got to go out there and put some effort to get what you need. Nothing's easy. If it was easy, everybody be doing it. The reason why everybody can't do it is because some of us need to be tested. Are we worthy? Are we worthy of the test? Can we pass the test? Can we prove ourselves? Don't be afraid to be tested. Always be ready to be tested. Never to be denied. Never be denied. Do not deny them. Don't never let them deny you. Don't deny yourself. Don't never
Yes.
let them outwork you. Don't ever let them outwork you. Show up before everybody else. Do more. Do excellent. And don't do it because you're looking. Just do it to make sure that no one has to tell you what to do. You know how to handle business. Show them that you have leadership skills by being a leader. Don't be misleading. So, with all that said, babies, as they say in the good Christian world, God love you, and I do too. Peace.
My goodness, that was a whole sermon. Yes and amen, sir. Yes and amen. Th-
Sometimes,
Thank you for
sometimes the
that
great voice
sermon.
talks for you. Yeah, sometimes the words come. Sometimes it's my job to deliver the word, not because it's my job, it's because that's the way it's coming. I didn't ask for
Yes,
it. I didn't ask to
yes,
love teaching children and serving and being good to people. I didn't ask for that, but I'm glad I got it. I'm a good
amen.
person, and it took me a long time to accept that about myself because I felt I was being conceited. I'm a good person. Who said you was good? My actions, my nature.
Yes, you're God, our God, our God, because He uses you to display the word. And so that's a word that someone needs to hear and someone needs to put it in their heart.
Mm-hmm.
So, Naheem Garcia, I thank you for being my guest on this show. I appreciate you. I love you. I have learned so much from you. So I thank you for that. And as you are going around Boston hosting all these events and outdoor events, I hope people will catch you and holler at you because I know you're quite active in the community as well and do some things there. Would love everybody to go out and watch your films and support you and do all of the things in terms of being just a good person. And
Thank you.
that's how we move through this life. That's how we that's why how we keep our hope, how we keep our joy, and that's how we love. So thank you. This is Anne Marie, host of About This Life. I hope that you will share, subscribe, and just this is a message for the loved ones in your life, especially the young men. So I hope that you will share this with them so that they can listen to all the wonderful ways that life holds one of promise. Because on About This Life, we are changing our lives one day at a time. Thank you.